Well, on Fanalysis, we take the deep analytics used in fantasy football and combine them with the betting trends to find the sharpest angles for Week 15. So let's bring in sports handicapper that you know from Twitter as Old Man Who Bets, Geoff Sheasby on the left, and Jared Smith of SportsGrid joining us as well. I want to start things off with the top plays of this week, Week 15. And the game that I think is getting a lot of attention is that Titans-Texans game. The Titans, 2.5-point home favorites against the Texans. Are the Sharps eyeing this game because of the reemergence of Ryan Tannehill?
I think Tannehill's been, quite literally going off. He's got 3 300-yard games. He's got a 70+% completion percentage. And, it was a Titans team with Mariota that wasn't really going anywhere. And now it's a Titans team that is playing super inspired ball. I know we're on opposite sides here on this one. But, I think this is a letdown spot for the Texans. The Texans coming off a huge win versus the Patriots. The Pats team, which, obviously there were some controversial calls there. 2 potential touchdowns taken off the board. And I also do think that they're a little overrated, honestly. I think the Texans have some big names that don't always live up to the stats. So a couple things that I like here for the Titans. I love the line movement right off the bat. 48% of the bets opened at 1.5. Now it's up to 2.5, pushing towards 3. The Titans are 4-1 ATS the last 5. That actually is a little bit of a concern for me. That should regress back to something around 500, but I do think that they have been playing hot. And then again, when we look at the actual numbers here on the offensive and defensive efficiency side, Tennessee is better on offense, better on defense on both of those stats. So I think the fact that the public is on Houston is way more of a overreaction to their win last week. It's thinking about Watson, it's thinking about Hopkins, it's thinking about J.J. Watt rather than the actual team effort. And nobody likes betting the Titans.
Well, well, I mean, who is a believer in Ryan Tannehill until you see what Tannehill does out there on the field? And I like the fact that you guys are on opposite side of things. Jared, why do you wait, you guys are on the same side on this one?
Yeah, we're both taking.
Okay, you're both on the same side. Okay, you got some that you don't agree on.
This is actually this is one of my favorite plays of the week. I mean, I love what Ryan Tannehill has done, and I don't know what Mike Vrabel's putting in the sauce in there in Nashville, but it's been really impressive. And Houston, I think, is a little bit of a fade at this point in the year, and they have not played well in the division at all. 1-4 ATS in their last 5 AFC South games. So I think that's kind of why I'm leaning Titans here. If this gets to 3, it's going to change, and if it does get to 3, I think that's where you're going to see some of the Texans money kind of buy it back. But right now at 2.5, it's moved a point. So, you've seen a little bit of movement towards the Titans already. And the fact that more bets are on the Texans, but the money's on the Titans, that kind of pushes me to Tennessee side. They're at home. It feels like the momentum will carry them through this game. And I tell you, Ryan Tannehill, it had to be Adam Gase, right? I don't understand. I mean, because 73% completion percentage, 6-1 as a starter. Mariota's got the tools, but Tannehill just kind of piecing this offense together. A.J. Brown's been really impressive at wide receiver, too. And, of course, you know what you get with Derrick Henry.
Well, I was going to say, Derrick Henry is a big upgrade over any running back that he had when he was in Miami.
That's true.
All right, Jared, we're going to stick with you here with the Bills. They're getting 1.5 in Pittsburgh. Everyone seems to be lining up on the Bills side of things, but do the Sharps really trust Josh Allen to handle the Steelers' pressure?
No, they really don't. And I kind of compared this game to what we saw Buffalo at Cleveland a few weeks ago, where Buffalo really struggled to move the ball. They struggled to move the ball last week against Baltimore, only 209 total yards. This is a great spot for Pittsburgh. Again, this is one of those short lines. If it starts to drift up towards 3, I think that's where you're going to start to see some of the money come back on Buffalo. But right now, the fact that it's under a field goal, it's just a great spot for the Steelers at home. Sunday Night Football. Is Josh Allen going to go into Heinz Field and pull off, it's technically an upset, but I guess some people would think, Buffalo, because of their better record, might get a chance to be favored in this game. But it will be an upset if the Bills do win. And, both teams have been good against the number this year. Bills 8-4-1, Steelers 9-4. So it certainly is a clash of 2 teams that certainly have overachieved this year, especially with Pittsburgh, considering the quarterback situation. Mike Tomlin, Coach of the Year candidate.
I think we're obviously towards the end of the season. You're starting to see that maybe the Bills' schedule has helped out their record a lot more than their actual talent. But speaking of another talented team, the Patriots, 9.5-point road favorites in Cincy. The Patriots have lost 3 of their last 5, Geoff.
Yeah, uncharted territory here. 3 of the last 5, 0-2 in the last 2, 2-2 in the last 4.
They're jumping off the bridges in Boston. They don't know what's going on.
The Bengals are not the Chiefs. They're not the Texans or the Ravens, the teams that they lost to.
Right.
But 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big line here. I've almost been autopiloting the Patriots for the last couple of years. Brady covers at 59%. And I'm willing to ride Tom and build a payday today. I think New England has been hot ATS out of the gate. They're 1-4 in their last 5. I think that's a nice regression spot northward. So obviously coming into Cincinnati here on the road, but they should be so fired up after back-to-back losses. One thing I do like, against the Texans, they had 2 touchdowns pretty much taken away from them, more or less on coaching miscues, very unpatriot, if you will. But I think this offense is starting to gel a little bit more than people think. I think every year with the Patriots, you see an over-targeting of Edelman historically as well as Gronk, and then one of those guys gets hurt or is out for a couple games. Then you have some unknown receivers. Think Myers, think N'Keal Harry, think whoever else is even on the roster at this point. Those guys then get those reps. They missed a lot of those catches last week, but the fact that Brady was looking for them, I think, is a really good sign. And that offense will start to gel a little bit more. Of course, we then have the Bengals. They've shown a little bit more life with their receivers coming back, with Dalton coming back. But ultimately, I just think they're going to be out-schemed, out-talented, and then fire in some of the intangibles of the newest Spygate coming in with people saying Brady's too old. I think that ultimately is just locker room material for the Patriots. The louder the media gets, the quieter the Patriots get, and the better they play.
Are you on the same side with it?
I like the Patriots too. Teams have been doing something interesting with Julian Edelman the last couple weeks and double-teaming him. And that, I think, is forced some interesting kind of adjustments for this Patriots offense. They haven't quite figured it out yet, but the Bengals defense is dreadful. Like one of the worst defenses in the league. I think if there is a get-right spot for Cincinnati or for New England against Cincinnati, it's this week.
All right, the Chiefs 9.5-point home favorites, 9.5-point home favorites to Denver. The Chiefs are banged up. Drew Lock has beaten the Chargers and the Texans. Do the pros see value here?
Well, if I were going to tell you that, after what we've seen from Denver this year and what we know about Kansas City, that the pros and the Joes are all lining up to bet Denver in this game. But we're seeing all the money on Denver, all the bets on Denver. We've seen a little bit of line movement come down. I think this thing opened at 11.5. It's come down to 9.5, and you can find a 10 out there. I think that's a good spot for him. But, man, Drew Lock. 22 out of 27 last week.
I mean, he's you can't deny his success.
It's really been kind of a testament to what we've seen from some of these Broncos offensive weapons that are good. Noah Fant's really good at tight end. I love what I see out of Cortland Sutton. So there's guys there that can play. They just haven't found the right trigger man. I think they might have found the right trigger man. We know what Von Miller can do on the defensive side of the ball for this Denver team. Not a great spot for KC. Coming off the Patriots win, they clinched the AFC West. I could see a little bit of a letdown spot. 9.5 is a lot of points in a divisional game.
Yeah, and how many years has it been since the Broncos have actually had a real quarterback?
Oh, like 3?
Yeah,
when they won the Super Bowl?
Manning was there.
Yeah,
Boy, so finally,
he's okay.
their quarterback drought is over.
Yeah,
they finally found one. All right, the Rams getting a point in Dallas. Both teams really need this game here, Geoff, for the playoffs. These teams are going in opposite directions, though. Do the Sharps pay close attention to momentum?
I think so, but I think this is an interesting one. The Rams are finally, quote, playing some good football. They had a big win last week, but at home where Geoff excels, on the road he struggles. And the public, I think, has seen enough. Pound the Rams. The Cowboys stink. The Cowboys have lost a couple in a row. Their division is in shambles. But nonetheless, I think this is probably my buy low candidate of the week, if you will. Outside of losing to the Jets, I think the Cowboys have had some only losing to above average teams. I'm including the Bears in my above average team category here because I think that defense is obviously fantastic. And the Cowboys put up 24 points against that defense, which is the second most points that the Bears have allowed all season. Other losses, the Pats, the Bills, not a bad resume there. So I think the slide ultimately does stop here. I think Dak gets this team working a little bit better. Looking at team efficiencies here, Dallas number 2 on offense, where the Rams are at 17th. The inverse of that is true on defense. The Rams are 6th, Dallas is 22nd. But looking at overall team efficiency, we've got 7 and 8. This line has moved a ton in the Rams' favor. I think it was from -4 to +1. So I think that's enough movement to justify a play at home for a team that needs to win with losses that I think are being overvalued by the public.
But like I said, both teams need to win this game.
Sure.
And it's true. Sometimes the Sharps don't necessarily agree. Is that right, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the Cowboys don't need this game as much as the Rams do. The Cowboys can lose this week and still beat
Right.
Philly
They're
next week
6 and 7.
and win the NFC East. So, usually I'm on Geoff's side with the line movement. I like to fade that kind of line movement. We saw this line move a ton. 4 to, I mean, that's a 5-point move over the favorite to a dog for Dallas.
In week 15,
that is a
less.
monster move. And usually I would take Dallas there as a nibble, but based on what I've seen out of the Cowboys, I just can't. And the stat that jumped out of me, Dallas 1-7 ATS against teams with a winning record this year. That's they just don't play well when they go up in competition. And the Rams are arguably playing their best football of the year. Todd Gurley apparently is going to get unleashed. That's what I'm hearing. You know, they're going to start using him now a lot more than we've seen in the early weeks. So if Gurley can get going against this Cowboys defense, still without Leighton Vander Esch, I think it's going to be an issue for Dallas. And the Rams, the line movement concerns me, but I still like them to win the game. It's not so where it's now they have to cover. It's still a really short favorite. If it moved from like a pick 'em to like 4, then I would maybe think of the Cowboys, getting over a field goal. But the fact that it's still under a field goal, I still like the Rams.
I like the fact that we wrap up the top plays with a little bit of an argument. That's all right. We've got to show both sides of things.
Stops this week. You heard it here first.
That's a look at their top plays for Week 15. Make sure you check out our segments on leans and toss-ups and keep up with the latest lines on sportsline.com. For Jared Smith and Geoff Sheasby, I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Fanalysis.